Part 1. Duality. There is a medicinal moment when you realize you were never meant to be singular, that you were always meant to confuse, disorient, initiate desires to know the full twinship of you. The deeper the contradiction, the more honest it feels. That you could be a roaring woman pacing between the walls of your room, losing her temper, breaking apart years of work, and later be still as stone, enraptured with birdsong and holding nothing but hunger for this one moment, is what makes me want to pause by the portrait of you. What I thought made me a liar is what had once made me alive. What I mistook for madness was my body fighting for life, keeping alive the monster on my suicidal way to become the angel. In wanting to prove my innocence before the courtroom of your eyes, I threw away my voice in the river. I kept the deer in the forest of my body and chased away the wolves. I was all fawn and no howl. I thought it was safer. But there was something wrong with the sound of me. I was impenetrable like a country ruled by one, surveilled by the distribution of spies throughout my body, disappearing every revelation that threatened the delicate architecture of what I had built. I allowed visitors, but only with many eyes around them, and only if they understood the conditions of their visit, that they were temporary, and that I had already selected the places they could travel to. Beyond that was the only land worth visiting, where the exiled wolves lived and where the land was impenetrable. It's where I would lose my composure as the tour guide of my body and become a guest like you, without any knowledge of my territory. When the land dips suddenly, I am as scared as you. When it rises towards a sunset, I am as stunned as you. To walk with you across the border of what you are allowed to see is to admit that I've never walked that land either. Part 2. Masks. She is sitting by the empty journal of her body. She doesn't know how to begin. She wants to declare her freedom, but her hand can't move. To write what hasn't happened yet feels like a lie, but what isn't written can't happen either. No one had ever taught me the right way to wear a mask, how preserving it could be in keeping the underground of me alive, while the streets of my skin delivered something easy, simple, guarded. I didn't know how deeply protective it could be. This thing I called a lie and tore apart each time life offered me one. I wanted the raw, bare face of a woman who showed everything that happened in her soil. I wanted the face to be a site of revelation where nothing is hidden. I wanted the confessional room of my eyes to open to every single gaze, deserving or not. I was undiscerning in my visitors. I hid nothing, barred no one, kept nothing for myself. I didn't know how quiet a mask could be, and how much life could be stared in the still ice, concealing the dance of water underneath. If I have suffered, it wasn't for my mask, but that I never learned how to use it. How the ceremony of choosing one could serve both reinvention and revelation. How the covering of something could reveal a truth unknown before. How it could buy you time while the winter of you thaws under the stoic gaze of a woman showing no proof of life. How generous the costume of it could be in allowing you to rehearse what you have not become yet. How it could distance those around you and hold them far enough for you to listen to what wants to be heard, what wants to be lived, what wants to be known. A mask is forgiving. It allows you to try again and again. In a world that deeply distrusts anything inconsistent and amendable, A mask is permission to do the revolutionary work of going against yourself, against your story, and your hard-built I am for the chance to be something while you are practicing being nothing. It is a fatherly force distributing simple replies to the one who wants simple answers, while it extends your time of becoming enough to become something. When you need it to be a lie, it is your fiercely protective lie. And when you need it to be your truth, it is your strict and expecting truth, demanding you to arrive. With the pen in my hand, I begin to move my fingers slowly towards the image I begin to draw as compass for a body on its way. Part 3. Earning her twinship. I will share with you an email I received from a stranger I had met who had gone to see my art. He wrote, "Your world as it comes over through your website and the Patreon site is so innocent, dreamy, but also sad and lonely. In all, it felt like home in a way, if that makes sense. Your short movies, writing, pictures, and above all, the music selection is very consistent, authentic, and touching. However, when meeting you in person, you give a different impression. The performer, as you say yourself, is still dominant. Now and then your eyes betray you, and that hurts me to see in a way." I want to say two things I should have spoken years ago, and again a few months ago when a man sat across from me and said something very similar, except he perceived the woman in front of him as the more honest one, and the one he met online as the liar. First, art is prophetic, predictive. It follows a different timeline than your own life. It is meant to precede you, to be moving faster than you and offering things still unknown and unlived and unconsidered by you. Unless the artist is much older, you are often meeting the prophetic version of her in her work. She has not arrived there yet. Where I stand and where my poetry stands is not the same space. My art is the destination of my pilgrimage. I create, and then I try to arrive at what my hands have shown me. And by the time I arrive, my hands have moved on to the next prediction, the next prophecy. It's deeply unfair to expect the woman and the art you encounter to be at the same train station. And then there is the unspoken question of one's right to intimacy. What she shows you in her art is her own generous exposure. You did nothing to deserve this. That she offers you this in her art and not in her presence is her own right. And maybe it is time we begin asking if the audience has earned this intimacy. There are rituals of preparation an artist passes through to prepare to create the work. But what about the rituals you pass through to receive it? Should there not be work done to experience in her presence what she offers you in her art? And does the art not deserve that work too? Instead of questioning her authenticity and why she comes to you a different woman from the one you witness in her art and writing, perhaps you should question your right to expect such depth and such truth without any work and at all times. That she is not allowed to close and open as she chooses but must stay exposed everywhere with everyone always is your own flawed expectation, and was my own too for a very long time. No. For so long I've allowed these men to make me believe I have lied and sinned as an artist, that I have failed to be honest because I was tidal in what I showed and what I hid. With no work at all, they expected all of me, everywhere, always. But the twinship of me, the artist and the woman, the song and the howl, the tenderness and the cruelty is something earned. And believe me, to love a woman, you have to want her ugly as much as you want her beauty. Otherwise, don't bother.